Hey, this is Upside Down Black Hole here, and I wanted to go into a little bit of detail in each of the creatures that I've made so far, and like the thought process that I had while making them. So, the first creature that I ever made, I called it the Hypercube, because it's like a cube-ish. I don't know, but yeah, uh, like when I was making this, like I first saw this game and I thought maybe just the most muscles, the most joints and everything. Uh, After a long enough time, uh, it would evolve to be efficient just because it had more things available to it. But it was lagging out a lot and I just kind of gave up on it. Then the second creature I've made was this thing, dog number one. And so the like backbone, the top bone that it has, uh, from uh like here to here, or like from the joint below this joint and the joint below this joint, there's a bone connecting that, and there's also a bone connecting this joint, the joint below that, and the joint below this, and that's kind of like a flat triangle, so there's not a lot of bending. But still, when you see it evolve, there is a little bit of bending in the backbone because of like the joints, like the bones popping out away from the joints a little bit. And I'll show you this in the simulation. Yeah, so it's pretty simple. I covered this guy in a previous episode too, but um yeah, if you look at the backbone, like it's still like kind of comes out a bit, but it's fairly rigid. It's kind of slow, and the muscles are like really basic. There's only three, and yeah, that tail on the end I just put there to for another place to connect up the muscle, but I don't really know how efficient it was. And then, oh, I think, yeah, the next creature I made was Dog 2, and it's a lot more efficient, as you can see. But if you look at it, uh, for a longer duration of time, it'll get stuck in like uh, where all of the inputs are repeating themselves like that. And so that was one of the problems with that guy. And from dog 1 to dog 2, I put like more joints in its legs to like a more fluid motion, and I also was able to connect a lot more bones from that guy. Oh, this guy was my like kangaroo bat. So it had like one big foot, and it would just push out and jump up like that. I never ended up making this guy into like a saved creature, but but I did save the simulation. Um, so yeah, and see, if you look at it here, it's like a different shape than if you look at it while it's evolving, because the muscle is kind of like uh bends this thing around like this. But yeah, and then the next the next thing I made, um this was just another simulation of Dog 2 that didn't end up as successful, I don't think. It like developed a different motion. It was still kind of good, but I liked the motion from the other one better. And then let's see. And plus, that was with less generations, so I'm pretty sure it may have um ended up more successful. Oh, and then this, I think I call it my goat. Uh, so the thought process behind this guy was like a similar backbone to my dog's, but the legs are all zigzag, like as a spring pushing it outward. And it kind of worked, but I gave up on the simulation because it was way too much laggy with all of the muscles. But it ended up like being pretty cool. And then I covered an entire video on this thing, but this was my ball, and it was pretty cool. So this is the ball, and at the beginning you can see how it like bounces up and like starts jiggling around to start moving in a rolling motion like that. Yeah, but then in my later generations, I'll just show you real quick. Here, like generation 300, it doesn't have to do that. Earlier, like it was going about 2.5 meters per second, but here it's going like 4.5 meters per second. So that was a big improvement through the evolution, just like not needing that original bounce up to get going. And I'm pretty sure just the rolling itself is a lot more efficient. Oh, and then this is my spear hoof. I talked about it a little bit in a previous video because it was part of it was kind of related to my dog series. And in this early generation, you can see it's not really too consistent amongst them, and it never really gets very consistent. And I think that's because it doesn't have a lot of muscles, so it like whenever it evolves, it changes the motion dramatically. But if you go back to a later later generation like here. Oh wait, no, this is the wrong one. Sorry, I'll show you that one later. A later generation like here. Yeah, like it just yeah, it's not very consistent, but it's like a lot more a lot more efficient kind of. I don't know, but like you can see when it pops out like that, the joints connecting like the spear part of it to the hoof part of it just like completely disconnect until and then they like join back together. But yeah, that was kind of crazy. And from that from that I developed dog number 3, which is like oh hold on, which is like a spear hoof. If you look at the back half of it, and the spear is just extended out farther, and at the end of the spear part, I like made a head and another hoof, and then I connected another bone from like the top of the head to the back, just for more that word. And yeah, that was dog 3. It it's like about almost twice as efficient as dog number 2, and dog number 2 is about twice as efficient as dog number 3. But I covered those in a previous uh simulation. I don't. Oh, and this was my truck.